Welcome! We're here to talk about connecting care. And if you're a nursing informatics student, well, you're in exactly the right place. We're going to break down the technology that's really powering modern healthcare today, making it all make sense so you can improve how you care for your patients.
So let's just start with a scene that's becoming super common in the Philippines, right? A nurse in a big hospital in Manila is doing a consultation with a patient who's hundreds of kilometers away in a remote province. What makes that happen? What makes that vital, sometimes life-saving connection actually possible? It's not magic, It's a system of communication technology that we're about to unpack together.
Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at the big picture, what we're calling the digital house call. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of how patient data actually travels. After that, we'll explore the internet's superhighway and its rules of the road. We'll compare the different ways you can get connected, and then, and this is the most important part, we'll tie it all back to your essential role as a nurse.
All right, so first up, the digital house call. And this whole new era of healthcare, it's about so much more than just video calls. At its very core, it's about computer communications. It's a system that lets us share crucial data, programs, and information between computers, no matter how far apart they are. That right there is the bedrock of telemedicine. So how does a patient's chart, or maybe an X-ray, or even a live video feed, how does it actually get from point A to point B? Honestly, the best way to wrap your head around it is to think of it just like sending a package using a courier service. Every single piece of information follows a set of clear, defined steps to get where it's going.
Now take a look at this. This image lays out that entire journey perfectly. And what's really interesting is that it doesn't matter if it's a quick text message or a full-on high-definition video consult, the basic steps are exactly the same. So let's keep using our courier analogy and break down each piece you're seeing here. Okay, so first up, you've got your sending and receiving devices. These are your computers, right? They're the sender and the recipient in our analogy. Next, that information has to travel along a communication channel. Think of these as the roads and highways. Then you have connection devices, stuff like modems. These act like the courier sorting center, packing all your data into little packets to make the trip efficient. And finally, you have the data transmission specifications. These are the rules of the road, the address, the instructions that make sure your package gets to the exact right place.
Now, to really get what makes a connection good or, not so good, we need to get familiar with two really key terms. They basically define that highway our data travels on. These terms are bandwidth and protocols. They're the ones that decide how fast and how reliably your information gets from here to there.
The easiest way to think about bandwidth is to picture the number of lanes on a highway. Sending a quick text to a patient with an appointment reminder, that barely needs a small barangay road. That's low bandwidth. But what about a high-definition video consultation where you need to see a rash or a wound clearly? For that, you need a massive, multi-lane expressway like SLEX, and that is what we call broadband. So, here's the bottom line, the most crucial takeaway. For telemedicine to actually work well, you absolutely need broadband capacity. It's the only highway that's wide enough to handle the huge amount of data you get with clear video and real-time monitoring without causing a massive traffic jam.
Okay, so if bandwidth is the highway, then protocols are the traffic laws and the postal system's rules all rolled into one. The main one, TCP/IP, does two brilliant things. First, it chops up your data into those little packets we mentioned. Then, it makes sure every single one of those packets is addressed perfectly so it can be put back together in the exact right order when it arrives. Pretty smart, huh?
And this is a perfect example of how that rulebook works. We all use easy-to-remember web addresses, but computers, they need numbers. Just like every house in the Philippines has a unique mailing address, every single device on the internet has its own unique IP address. The DNS server is basically the internet's phone book. It just looks up the name you type and finds the specific number the computer needs.
All right, so we've got the highways and we've got the traffic laws. Now let's talk about the actual delivery services that use them. We're talking about the different kinds of internet connections available that create that channel for communication.
This table breaks it down really nicely. First, there's DSL. It uses the phone lines that are already there. So think of it like using older provincial roads. It'll get you there, but it might not be the fastest. Then you have cable, from providers like Sky Cable. This uses TV cables which are built to handle heavy data. This is your modern, dedicated Skyway, perfect for high-speed stuff like streaming and, of course, telemedicine. And finally, there's satellite. This is like air cargo.
Its biggest advantage is it can reach the most remote islands and rural spots, but it can be a bit slower and sometimes the weather can affect it.
Okay, so after all this tech talk, you might be thinking, why do I, as a nurse informaticist, really need to know the difference between a provincial road and the skyway of the internet? Well, the answer is huge. It goes right to the very heart of patient care. Because think about it. That choppy, lagging video call during a teleconsult, that's not just some minor technical glitch. It's a real barrier that could prevent an accurate diagnosis. It's a disruption that gets in the way of clear, empathetic communication with a patient who really needs you. In that moment, the quality of the connection is the quality of care.
And this is why this all matters for you. When you understand the technology underneath it all, you can advocate for better systems, you can set things up properly, you can even help troubleshoot when things go wrong. Your goal is to make sure the connection always meets these critical needs so you can provide a seamless and truly effective digital health experience for your patients.
And of course, we absolutely cannot forget about security. Now, the deep technical side of things like encryption is a topic for another day, but the main principle for you is simple. Protecting a patient's digital information as it's zipping across the internet is just as critical as locking up their physical chart in the clinic. It's a fundamental part of your duty of care.
At the end of the day, understanding these digital foundations is what will empower you to build a future of healthcare that is more connected, more effective, and more secure for every single patient, no matter where they happen to be. And that is the real power and the responsibility of nursing informatics.